will now call the meeting to order, the Rockdale County Planning Commission meeting dated January 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Rockdale County Assembly Hall, 901 Main Street, Northwest Conyers, Georgia, 30012. The meeting is now called to order. Let us stand for the invocation.
Dear God, thank you for allowing us to gather here today. Grant us clear minds, patient ears, and open hearts to understand the challenges before us. Give us the courage to pursue your will and the wisdom to discern it, not relying on our own strength or expertise, but on your guidance. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we now have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have everyone here for the quorum. Okay, let's have a roll call. Okay, we'll have the roll call at this time. John Lee Peterson, Jr., Chair, I'm here. Ms. Melissa Yancey, Vice Chair.
Here.
Danny Forrester.
Here.
Ernestine Stovall Goldsby.
Here.
Angelique McClendon.
Here.
Okay. Okay, everyone's here. We have quorum. Okay. Okay, now we need a motion for the approval of the minutes of the agenda. If you've had a chance to review the agenda, everyone at this time had a chance to review the agenda? Okay. If everyone has reviewed the agenda, we need a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I move to approve.
Okay. Okay. The motion to approve the agenda was made by Ms. Melissa Yancey, Vice Chair. The second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Danny Forrester. And so the minutes, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstain? Okay, the motion carried. The approval of the agenda has been passed. Okay, the next item on the agenda is for the approval of the minutes for October 9th, 2025. Okay. Have everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes?
I do have one. It's not really a change, but just under the, let's see, under item 09, where it has Commissioner McClendon questioned whether there would be any popped hoods or auto repair activities. I don't know why that needed to be italicized, but that's not a big deal. But just pointing that out. But other than that, I have nothing else, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. The motion for the approval of the minutes for October 9th, 2025 has been made by Ms. Angelique McClendon. Need a second?
Second.
The motion for approval has been seconded by Mr. Danny Foster. All in favor of the approval of the minutes for October 9th, 2025, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Any abstain? The motion to pass for the approval of the minutes for October 9th, 2025. Okay, at this time, we'll have the rules of procedure for a public hearing.
Each speaker must sign their name to the appropriate zoning case sheet and fill out a public comment card to register your intent to speak prior to the start of this meeting. Each item of business shall be handled in order that it appears on the agenda, unless upon motion of the Planning Commission, the order is changed. A member of the planning staff will present each item to the Planning Commission and will further provide recommendation upon each item of business. The zoning applicant or the agent will state their name and address at the podium and will have 10 minutes in which to make his or her presentation. Any portion of their 10 minutes may be reserved for rebuttal following the opposition to the application. After the applicant's presentation, all registered speakers who wish to speak in favor of the application will then be heard. Prior to speaking upon the item, each registered speaker will state their name and address at the podium. They will also be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the applicant has made his or her presentation and the speakers in favor of the application have been heard, the secretary will then call upon the registered speakers in opposition of the application. The opposition shall likewise be limited to a total of 10 minutes. Once the public hearing portion is closed, no other speakers will be heard. As a reminder, speakers are to address the Planning Commission, not the applicant or the audience, and are expected to conduct themselves in an appropriate manner. The use of abusive or profane language shall not be allowed. No debate or argument between speakers shall be permitted. After all public comments have been heard, the Planning Commission may elect to hold general discussion. The Planning Commission will vote upon a recommendation that will continue forward to the Rockdale County Board of Commissioners public hearings.
Okay.
Each speaker.
All right. There's no unfinished business at this time, so we'll proceed with new business. The first item on the agenda is item R1, REZ 20125-10. Purpose is to rezone 1.46 acres from C1 Local Commercial District to C2 General Commercial District to permit an expansion of allowable commercial uses on the site. The location is 2992 Highway 155 Southwest.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Happy New Year. Good to see you all again. My name is Ryan Sadler, and I will be presenting rezoning case 2025-10 and future land use map amendment 2025-4. The site address is 2992 Highway 155 Southwest, and the applicant is D&G Atlanta LLC in care of Mr. Singh. Again, this rezoning request is to rezone 1.46 acres from C1 to C2. That's from local commercial to general commercial, to permit the expansion of allowable uses on site. And the future land use map category for this site is low density agriculture and residential. And we want to amend, he would like to amend that future land use map to commercial. Here is an aerial view of this site. And just a little background zoning history. The site received an approval for administrative variance to reduce the required buffer from 50 feet to 25. The administrative approval was approved because the request met the standards of that ask. And in 2024 of March, the applicant has combined, I believe it's I think it's another picture. As you can see, this is the zoning map, and I'll touch on that a little bit more, but you see how it's like a little line kind of on the left-hand side of the parcel. Back in 2024 of March, the applicant did combine those two lots, making it a full one lot. And that went through Planning Commission and was signed for on March 7, 2024. So he has received an administrative variance and combined those two lots. Getting into the zoning, the current zoning of the site is C1, local commercial. To the north is AR, and it's just wooded in a vacant area. To the east, it is AR as well. and it's wooded and it's a vacant site. To the south is 5400 East Fairview Road, and that is the Dollar General, and that zoning is C1. And to the west is 6105 Georgia 155 North, and that is Henry County, and there is a convenience store and gas station at that site. Here's the future land use map. As mentioned before, it's currently, the designation is low-density residential, and his request is to go to commercial. So the C1 zoning district is permitted in the commercial future land use designation, and that's just showing the graph of kind of what designations fall into which future land use category. And I've highlighted where the C2 zoning meets the commercial designation. And here is a site plan of the proposed admission station. The applicant is requesting to rezone the 1.46 acres from local commercial to C1 to general commercial C2 to permit the expansion of allowable uses. The applicant's main commercial proposed use is an emissions inspection station as a complementary use to the gas station and to the convenience store of the property, a use not permitted in the C1 zoning. The nearest emission station is 5.5 miles away, requiring residents to travel outside their immediate area for a mandatory service. The emission station will require only minor site adjustments and equipment installation. The project will be completed in one single phase, ensuring that the facility will begin serving the community quickly and without disruption. So as mentioned, in the far, I want to say top corner or north of the property or the west of the property, highlighted in yellow is where the proposed emission station will be placed. Here is current site photos of the current site. Again, it's a gas station and convenience store. And again, case summary, the proposed commercial use is an emissions inspection station. The site is currently developed with a convenience store and a gas station pumps. The site will remain unchanged, and the emission station will require minimal site adjustments. We did circulate this rezoning application to all prudent departments. Fire, this location has a hydrant in close proximity, no threat of fire exposure nearby. In the event that there is a fire, little to no hazardous materials are expected to be on site. Rockdale Board of Education, no impact on this one. Water and sewer, the site has access to a 12-inch or 12-foot DIP water mains along Highway 155 Southwest and East Fairview Road, and there is no wastewater available. Stormwater, based on the submitted rezoning documents, there is no existing state waters or wetland requirements. The tree protection will not be required for this project due to there being no disturbance of the land or anything like that. And transportation, a decel lane currently exists along Fairview Road, which aligns with the county requirements for access management and road safety. The current condition of this lane will need to be evaluated prior to the next submittal to determine if any resurfacing, restriping, or reconstruction is required to meet the current county standards. The proposed access points on and off Highway 155 are located in a GDOT-owned and maintained roadway. Therefore, a formal submittal to GDOT will be required for any access modifications or improvements. Once GDOT approval has been received, the documents should be submitted to the county and for verification and record-keeping purposes. So if he does any other adjustments or anything major, that he will have to go to GDOT and get that approval from them. Based off of the request, the planning department does recommend approval for the future land use map amendment. For the future land use map amendment from low density to commercial, and we recommend approval with conditions on the rezoning from C1 local commercial to C2, general commercial, following conditions, the emissions testing facility shall be limited to vehicle emissions inspections only. No automotive repair, maintenance, bodywork, or mechanical services shall be conducted on site, except for activities directly required to complete an emissions inspection. The facility must obtain all state emissions testing certifications, business license, fire inspections, and environmental compliance prior to operation. Approval of the emissions testing facility shall not authorize additional fuel pumps, expansion of the convenience store footprint, or additional automotive uses without further zoning approval. All waste generated from testing activities, including fillers, rags, and any other hazardous materials, shall be disposed of in accordance to the local EPD and EPA guidelines. Dumpsters shall be fully screened. And finally, all items related to the testing operations shall be stored indoors within a closed structure. No temporary outdoor storage, including boxes, containers, carts, or testing equipment, is permitted anywhere on site except for items actively in use during the inspection. Again, staff does recommend approval with these conditions. The applicant is here to speak to this request, and if you have any other questions for staff, I'm open to taking those now.
What are the hours of operations for this?
I'm sorry?
What are the hours of operations?
That was not provided to us, but I'm sure Mr. Singh would be happy to let you know of that information.
I did have one question. I'm looking at the evaluation of future land use request, and it's paragraph C. I'm assuming it's probably a typo, and I think I'm reading it right. It just says the proposed nursing home will be required to utilize.
Okay. I'll make that change.
Okay.
My
I was
apologies.
kind of excited. That might be assisted living or something that we need.
Yes,
in the
I will
county.
make that change for you. My apologies.
That's fine. That was the only question I had. I do have. I'm sure I have questions for Mr.
Okay.
Singh, but yeah.
Any other questions for staff?
No.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn it over to the applicant, Mr. Singh.
Hi, good evening everyone and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, good evening.
My name is Kuljinder Singh and I own this facilities since 2017. There was a really run-down place and we really take good care, invest a lot of money on it. New parking lot, new pumps, and fix the convenience store. The facility looks very nice now. There was across the street a Chevron station. They have a emission station before, but that was shut down over 2 years ago. Now, around 5.5 mile radius, there is no emission station around the area. Even our regular customer asking that if you can open emission station in this facility. So then we decided to do that. So to add an emission station, we need to be rezoned from C1 to C2. Thus we are requesting that if we can have approved that. Now a lot of our residents go to the other county like DeKalb on the 155 to go get the emission done. So if we have the emission station here, this is going to consider like one stop shop. As they come for the gas and a convenience store, they can have an emission done on this one here. So that's why we want to request to you that if you can rezone from C1 to C2, approve the emission station there.
So I'm looking at the images, these that were submitted. Can you tell me how the structure will be? Is it a garage type that you plan to build there? Is it, because I don't see where there's a space already included where the emissions would be done. So this is something additional that you're building on site or having delivered in like a garage type that they would drive through? How is the emissions, how will they be tested?
You mean the building of the emission station? Yeah, we have submit some pictures to the, probably, I don't have with me. So basically, we need a very limited space for the equipment, the computer from the state, which is going to stay inside. And on the front of that, we will make it like a shed, so the vehicle can pull in, and they can get the wire hooked up and get the emission.
It's, so basically it's a drive-through type, it's covered?
Like, yeah, right.
Okay.
So the vehicle can came in, and when he done, and they can just come out.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Well, I do have a question on that, because that was the question I had in my mind, but just to expand on that, so just to clarify, so will it be a stationary building, or will it be more of a sort of a portable type of, because I've seen those emission stations that
Right.
are like a portable awning type of thing where you can kind of move it here or there, and you still have the equipment under there, but will it be a stationary add-on to that building, and that will look similar to the structure that's there, so it won't look piecemeal? These are purely aesthetic questions. So it will look like it's part of the building, or that those buildings belong together, and not that it's just a shed you bought from Sam's or something to put over to make an emission station.
Right. First, we propose that we can have the containers, like, we can
Oh.
buy that. But then county planner told us, they're not allowed to be container. So it's going to be.
I have to speak to that. He did submit the first time,
Okay.
kind of like a shipping container.
Yeah.
We kind of said, no, let's go with something else, and the site plan really didn't clearly show like what it looked like, so that's why it wasn't included, but it is something that does meet the county standards as far as the materials, and, he did make those changes to kind of make it go cohesive. It's not anything that will look, like, I know we were talking about the aluminum.
Right,
It's not that.
exactly.
It's something that's kind of stationary, and it kind of does go with the site, and it does meet all of the county accessory structure, requirements as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'll go back to my question about hours of operations, because I know of two in particular, and they're off of Sigmund, at the corner of Sigmund and Highway 138.
Right.
And both of them have, they don't open all night, and they have hours of operations. I'm not sure if their hours of operations are administered guidelines by the state, but it's not a facility that is open all the time. That's why I'm asking the question, what are
Right.
your hours of operation?
Right. Our current operation is 24 hours for the gasoline and for the convenience store. But for the emission station, we are going to be 9 to 5, Monday to Saturday. And Sunday, in case somebody have, expiring their registration something, so we will do for the facility of the people that for Sunday appointment only.
Appointment, okay,
So
thank you.
basically, yeah, it's going to be Monday to Saturday.
Because I thought there was some kind of
9 to
state
5.
guidelines or something as to when, okay, thank you. So you would adhere to the state guidelines as far as hours of operation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Would it be emissions only? Would you also, you'd be able to get the emissions and the decal there, correct? The decal for the vehicle.
No,
No.
just the emissions.
Just
Okay.
Actually,
emissions.
emission probably so basically the car come and they put two plugs in there, and then they start the computer. Within 2-3 minutes they give the results that car have any mechanical or any issue. They print a paper, we give it to the customer, this pass or fail.
Okay,
So he
so
pay
it's
the-
emissions.
Yes,
okay.
emissions
Okay.
done,
Okay.
and then if any issue or any mechanical defect, we go to the mechanic shop and bring back to us.
Okay.
And one time, we are going to try to one time, he bring it back, fix it one time, one time we give him free, next time, for him. If he fail the second time, then we charge him fee for that, like $15-18, yes.
Okay. The reason I asked that, because the one on 138, you can, once the vehicle passes inspection, you can get your decal there also. That's why. I asked.
That's only one like that.
One, yeah. Okay.
'Cause I've asked about that.
Yes.
With my day job.
That's her driver services.
I think
That's a
So it shouldn't be any more like that. Yeah, it should be the only
I
one.
think state are doing, they are making like
You do have the machines, the kiosks.
yeah, they're
in
making now
stores.
instant machine that you can, add the money in, they can have you decall,
Right.
Yeah.
like Kroger, I think.
Right,
Right,
Kroger,
exactly.
right.
Different
I think they
places.
start offering to the private also.
Right.
Okay.
But we don't have any plan like that.
Right.
Yes.
I just want to ask this question because you said back in 2024, you came here and you combined the lots. Is that a correct statement? Like you came in and there you combined lots to make them 1.46. Is that correct or I
Yeah, we
misunderstood?
combined the, it's a small lot there,
Okay.
so they combined the lots.
So like if, changing this to C2, would it create an opportunity for smoke shops, bike shops or anything like that? It won't allow that.
And that's why we condition it to any other uses or any other proposed uses. He would have to come back to us for further approval or to get that granted. That's why we kind of wrote the conditions like we did, so it won't open it up to more intense uses in that area.
That's a concern.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah, because that's reading, that was one of my concerns too, and I do see that that was germane to just this particular property. Okay.
Any additional questions?
Okay, no additional questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Are there any more hearings on it?
And if we have anybody to speak for the project, you can come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you have your time to speak. Do we have anybody for, against? Okay, well, I said no, nobody for or against at the moment, so it's to you.
Okay. So if there's no more comments on this, we will move this item R1, REZ 2025-10 to rezone 1.46 acres from C1 Local Commercial District to C2 General Commercial District to permit an expansion of allowable commercial use on the site. We need to have a motion on this issue for approval.
Is this for the update or for the actual? Which one did you need that for?
This is for the item R1.
All right.
I move for this item REZ 205-10 to allow
The change?
Yes. Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Melissa Yancey, our vice chair. It is second.
Second.
Okay, are there any unreadiness in discussion? Okay, we'll move the vote on this item. All in favor of the rezoning for item R1, REZ 2025-10. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstain? The motion to rezone item R1, REZ 2025-10, the motion has carried and have been approved. Okay, next item on the agenda is R2, FLUM 2025-04. The purpose is to amend the future land use map category of subject property 2992 Highway 155 Southwest from low-density residential agricultural to commercial to permit an expansion of allowable commercial uses on the site. Location is 2992 Highway 155 Southwest.
So it's the same thing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So you would just need to make a motion, okay?
Okay, so
I make a motion to approve R2, future land use map, 2025-04.
Okay, the motion to amend this, the land use map has been made by Ms. Ernestine Stovall Goolsby. It's in its second. Need someone to say.
Second.
Second by Mr. Danny Forrester. Okay, are there any readiness on discussion on this item? Okay, we'll move this to vote. All in favor of item R2, FLUM 2025-04 to be amended, you can state by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Any abstain? The motion to amend item R2, FLUM 2025-04 has been carried and approved.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is our final item for tonight. Item R3, text 2025-14, purpose and ordinance to amend the text of section 218-1, permitted use table, and section 218-13, standards of use and developments, subsection MMM2 of the Unified Development Ordinance of Rockdale County, Georgia, as amended regarding short-term rentals and amending the supplemental regulations related thereto to appeal conflicting ordinances and for other purposes.
Good evening, Planning
Good
Commission.
evening.
My name is Jessica Paulette, Project Manager with Planning and Development. Thank you all for being here tonight. We are bringing this text amendment before you because last year in April, we approved our short-term rental ordinance that came before the Planning Commission back then. And as we worked through our SOP process and our application process, we found some things that we could amend to take out of the ordinance and then change some of the language within that ordinance. So this will be the first amendment to the short-term rental ordinance. So some of the changes we made. So the language was updated from a short-term rental permit to a short-term rental license. We did this because in the original ordinance, it was going to be required a special use permit if someone would like to have a short-term rental. And thinking about that process, that would bring every short-term rental in front of you all. And that would be a 4-meeting process that would take the applicant 90 to 120 days to be approved. And that would also, our agendas would be lengthy at all of those meetings. So we decided to change it to a licensing, license so that it could follow the process of our alcohol licensing. And so with our alcohol licensing, we take that before the Board of Commissioners as a list of addresses, and the public can come make comment on those addresses, and then the Board of Commissioners can approve or deny each of those licenses. So we've updated the language to reflect that sort of process with our short-term rentals, to reduce the waiting time for the licensing from that 90 to 120 days to 30 days so that we can bring people into compliance. We also decided to add language that would limit the number of short-term rental licenses within the county. And so we proposed 350 at any given time. That would be the max amount of short-term rentals allowed within the county. And since we decided that, we also needed to include a process for a wait list. So that language has also been added. We also removed some of the more stringent language that talked about bedroom, bathrooms, and closet heated square footage standards. That language wasn't necessary as it's already written in our International Building Code. So when the homes are built, they're already built to those standards. So we felt it was just redundant to have it within this ordinance as well. We also decided to prohibit all special events and private gatherings in short-term rentals. The previous ordinance stated that folks were allowed to have 2 times the number maximum occupancy guest as a gathering or a party. We have changed that to limit it to 2 persons per bedroom is the maximum occupancy, day or night, at the short-term rental to prohibit those special gatherings and parties that happen at short-term rentals. And so those were the changes within it. We did take this for a first read with the Board of Commissioners, and we took comments from them as well at that point, and they would like to reduce the 350 to 200. So that is the recommendation from the board, is just to reduce that 350. So you're welcome to make your comments and your recommendations as well for it to go back to the BOC. Any questions?
I have a question. So the 350 and even the 200, how were those numbers derived?
So we drew the 350 from other ordinances around. So we looked at Putnam County. We even looked at Newton County, City of Covington, how they do theirs. And the general number was about 350 for that size. We also, we had a program about 2 years ago that was called Rentalscapes. And at that time, that program would scrub all of the websites where short-term rentals register or advertise their short-term rentals. And at that time, the county had close to 200 operating outside of the ordinance anyway. So we increased that to 350 to allow more.
What's considered your short-term rental? What's that time frame for short-term?
Less than 30 days. So,
Okay.
yeah, any stay less than 30 days.
Okay. Those homes that now are doing
Airbnb.
Airbnbs, okay, anything's going to be grandfathered in, or are we going to just keep, there's nothing on the books right now, they just doing it on their own? I'm just asking.
Correct. We didn't have an application process in place for those short-term rentals or an ordinance until last year. So we did implement the ordinance, and then again, when we went through the application, the SOP process, we decided that we needed to amend the ordinance. So they can come in and fill out an application. We have not enforced the ordinance at this point because we did want to take it through this amendment process and ensure that our SOP was in place with our department. And we had to wait for our software to be updated to take those registrations. So now everything is ready, and we will begin taking applications on February 1st. And all of those short-term rentals that are currently operating will be notified through a letter campaign, and they will be notified that they do need to come in and fill out an application and pay the short-term rental fee at this point.
What if it's more than 200 at that time?
That is where we begin our wait list. And at that
First
time,
come, first serve, something like that?
I'm sorry?
First come, first serve would be?
It will be a first come, first serve for applications, absolutely.
So that-
So
that-
once we reach that number, you will be waitlisted, and if you are currently operating a short-term rental, we do have enforcement now to, you will be asked to close down your short-term rental and obtain that license when the wait list is open.
How would that be enforced? How is that being enforced?
Under code enforcement and sheriff's department.
So you're going to have that. If they come to your occupation, if you say, okay, I rent, you got to have that.
Yes. They will be expected to stop operations because you will also be required to obtain a business license, so you'll be paying your occupation tax. The tax assessors will also be notified of all short-term rentals so that we can ensure that they're not getting homestead exemption and that they are paying a commercial tax rate.
Will all of those be connected? And I'm asking, I opened a business a few years ago, and being new to this area, it was difficult to locate all the different areas of who needed to be connected with what. I put a big giant sign outside my building before health department came. I didn't know, right? So with this, getting a business license, doing these things, will there be some type of guidelines or
There will,
guide for
yes.
them to follow so there's not a misstep and they miss their place?
Absolutely. So yes, our application will come with a complete checklist of all required documents. There are quite a few stipulations that they have to adhere to receive their license, and most of those are not local ordinance related, they are state related. So those things, they're also state regulations that they must follow to be a short-term rental. So we've included those in our application process, and yeah, they'll be given a packet with all their do's and don'ts and what documents are needed, and they'll have time to submit all of that.
Can this be transferred to, if y'all buy your home, and can it be transferred to a new homeowner, or has, at that time when you sell your home, that that short-term rentals?
No, it is only with that
That's
applicant. It was
transferable.
non-transferable.
Okay, all right.
That was a good one.
Okay, I just wondered. It could be a selling point, you know.
Yeah.
something like that.
That's a great question.
So do you see any like loopholes? For instance, you say you can, so when she asked what was a short-term rental, right? You
Yes.
said, you know, but
We do
Less
have
than 30.
definitions within our ordinance of the short-term rental, so we have that to stand on with the ordinance. This is what a short-term rental is, and this is what's not. So those definitions are there, and we do have enforcement and violation procedures within the ordinance as well. So those will be enforced once this amendment has been passed.
so do the short-term renters or the landlords, short-term landlords, are they required to submit some sort of log so they're not renting back to back to the same people and it's really presented as a
So the
Airbnb,
county,
but not really?
Yeah, by state law, they have to keep a registry of anyone who stays in the short-term rental, that person's name, contact information, and city, state that they're from. We have it written in the ordinance that they must give those records over to the county if requested. So if we do hear of, oh, well, this isn't a short-term rental, they have long-term residents here, they have to provide that. If they do not, then they will be in violation of the ordinance, and that's when we would start the citation process with code enforcement.
So what if it's 45 days and I'm corporate housing?
I'm sorry?
What if it's 45 days and I'm corporate housing? How is a person lease their home to me if it's a corporate environment? 45 days is my...
They have to provide the deed and ownership of their home.
Okay.
It cannot be, you cannot
I'm
sublet.
just thinking of all the things that...
No, and we have these things. Before I was over in planning and development, well, I was with planning and development, but over in code enforcement. So I understand the enforcement piece. So when I wrote this, I thought of how are we enforcing this? Because there are going to be, loopholes.
This is going to be a shocker.
Just- yeah. And,
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot of, all the counties around us now have short-term rental ordinances. So we're ready to start accepting our applications as well.
And a lot of the guys weren't here when we first brought it up, and a lot of people came out to speak against it. It was a full house because a lot of people are doing this, and now they're going to have to be in compliance with it. So, but it's needed in Rockdale. I just hope it's something that's doable for Rockdale County because, the guidelines can be implemented. The requirements can be met by.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've met with code enforcement, sheriff's department, and fire on this ordinance. Like right now, fire cannot go out and inspect residential properties for fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, things like that. That's the reason that we would move these properties to a commercial tax base, because that also gives fire some backbone to go in there. They have something they can stand on too and say, hey, no, we need to have these smoke detectors working and, safety features. So that's a reason that we're making them commercial as well.
And so the max is 30 days. You have to stop. Could you leave the property and have to come
That's
back?
what I-
You can, yes.
Okay.
You can leave the property and come back. That would still be considered a
A new
short-term
set of
rental.
30 days.
Mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
That'll reset
And-
to 30 days.
It does, yeah, yeah. So it just can't be any longer than 30 days.
Okay.
So that's one of the loopholes, yes, and we can't write that one in, so.
Doing pretty good. Keep trying.
That should be a 3-day
So it
gap.
will be, it won't be a grandfathered in type thing. So say if you have about 300 people and you've limited to 200, those 300 will be grandfathered in and then you start from there. It'll be cut off at the 200.
Correct,
And then
that's
how-
correct.
Well, how do you decide which 200 make the cut? Is it first come,
Well,
first
that was a
served?
request by the Board of Commissioners when they read the ordinance on the first read. So we can always take a recommendation back to the Board of Commissioners. So they'll hear this again on the zoning public hearing in 2 weeks. And then again, gosh, what's the date for the approval? And it'll go for second read on January 27th. So at that time, any conditions that need to go along, any changes that need to be made, we can accept those at that time as well from the Board of Commissioners.
So do you have an idea about how many it could be, so you can get to a number where you wouldn't have this conundrum of, well, what did we do? Because you have 500 people and then you limit it to 200.
I would say I did meet with Rentalscapes. We are looking at we're looking at quotes from different companies that do this scrubbing of those websites to let us know where the short-term rentals are in the county and how many we have. And they just gave me a demo last week, and they showed us Rockdale County, and we had right at 200 in the county right now advertising.
So you know you'll probably,
We know
so
where
you know 200 probably isn't the right number. I guess so,
Probably
I
more
guess,
if it's 200.
Yes, we know we do have 200 at least.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Because I'll make a recommendation. I know you know, when you to make it at 300. I can understand whether 350 may be a bit much, but 200 is at minimum. And considering the economy and what's going on in the economy, I just think something more feasible, maybe 300.
Yeah,
Absolutely, we
I
can
would
definitely
agree.
take that
I
to
mean,
the Board of
I
Commissioners.
think a good recommendation is to use some research to know how many you have, so you don't create an automatic problem by setting the number too low.
Right.
Because that's what you would do. A wait list has to be maintained. So why start any program out with a wait list? I mean, it doesn't, that's like building a school and you have a wait list, or you have trailers.
Unfortunately, I
initially.
do think we will hit our wait list very quickly.
Sure.
With the short-term rentals, just, the original ordinance said we could have as many as there were out there. And we didn't, I believe the notion behind that was we didn't want, or to limit some of these, we didn't want to turn into a short-term rental community. When you open it up with no max, you're really inviting short-term rentals here, and that could lead to just an influx of short-term rentals that are maybe out of control. So I think a number is a good idea. We should have some sort of limit, but it's just finding that good balance for the county.
I think 350 that's on there might be high. I agree with that. But also, if the records the information you received said that we're about at 200 now.
Right about at it.
I would go a little above that. I would do more of a 250.
250?
Because that gives you room to build that buffer in while you're working on the processes and how the wait list is going to work. If you automatically start out with 300, then there might be a mess in that extra that's in there. So if you go above the 200, just get a little shorter max in it, and that way when you do all your detailed and the applications that are coming in and finalized, you'll see if there's a bigger gap. Because if not, we can come back this way again and say, you know what, we looked at this, the meeting was the number was a little short, let's raise it a little bit or decrease it, however. But
Correct, yeah, we can always bring this back for amendment later on if we
Right.
do run into those issues.
So
But I think it should be every time somebody comes in and want to, you got 50 applicants to come in and want to, you come in, present before us, and then we do another 50. I just really think the ordinance is there for a reason. We don't want to come a short-term community.
Right.
And so I think we should, probably shouldn't be presented before us no more than every, 2 to 5 years, some kind of stipulation on how often you come before the board and get it expanded, because, every time you get 5 or 10, 20 more, 30 more, 40 more applicants that want to get in, you come here, I think. No, you wait to get on the wait list for somebody to get off, because, I just see it's the same thing as when they build these new communities, they say we got a 5% rental cap.
Right.
So, you got, our community is 350 or 300 rental cap for short term. So, keep it like that and put some kind of stipulation as to it can't be proposed to change no more than, every 5 years,
Yeah.
and this is an annual requirement that every year they
Annual
apply.
licensing. And so if they do not receive their, this will be part of our standing operating procedure. We didn't place this verbiage into the ordinance. But what we're discussing with the SOP is if they do not renew their license within 7 business days of their expiration, they lose their license, and so that opens it up for another person to have one. So there will be things like that within our SOP. We just didn't codify it, so.
So you mentioned rental caps. So is there a limit to the number that any particular corporation could have? Because you also don't want it to turn into a community where two companies own most of the short-term rentals or anything like that.
We did not do that, but we did write in the ordinance, and this is also in the current ordinance that we have, is that they must produce, give us a homeowners association approval letter. So if there is a homeowners association, we have to have approval from them as well to ensure that we don't exceed that 5% cap in some of our neighborhoods, or that if we do see an influx of the same company coming, we could address that as well, and just depending on which neighborhoods they're in, and then just also getting the support from the homeowners association to help us out with that piece too.
Is there any opposition to limiting the number that a corporation could own out of that 300 or 350 or
We'd have
whatever
to look at state law, because then you get into limiting business, and that's you can't do that.
Yeah.
So we can tell people what they can and can't do on property, but we can't say you can at all. If it's a permitted use. This is a permitted use, and that's also, it's a permitted use only in AR and R1 districts, and in the watershed non-reservoir zoning districts. So those are the only districts that short-term rentals are even allowed in. So that will limit them as well.
I guess I'm thinking about any particular owner. I mean, there's probably some way you can play around with the language. Is my suggestion, in addition to having a higher cap than 200 and not starting off with the wait list like other commissioners have suggested.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, we can definitely take that recommendation back to the Board of Commissioners too, if you all want to make that part of your approval with condition. If you want to decide on a number, we can take that back to the Board of Commissioners.
Because there is a balance we have to do with economic development, business, but then also
Correct.
looking at the community as well. So I think the suggestion about not starting off with the wait list, not starting off with a bunch of red tape to begin with,
Yeah.
is a good suggestion.
And it's building our commercial tax base by switching these properties to commercial.
It's needed. I welcome it. It's really, really needed.
Yes.
What sort of notice, I guess, is there the same notice of that other, like, neighbors would have as you would if any other changes happen? Or, I mean, how would
The
I
notice
as a neighbor know?
So if that's where it's going to be similar to our alcohol licensing process. So you will see these addresses on the Board of Commissioners' regular meeting agendas. And so they will be grouped together as just the property address with the parcel numbers. And at that time, at that meeting that it is on the agenda, that is when you would need to come and make your comments at that commission meeting if you would like to oppose the short-term rental in your neighborhood. So just keep an eye on Board of Commissioner agendas when they go out, and when, beginning, like I said, February 1st is when we would begin accepting applications. So probably by the last meeting in February will be our first time that we bring them a list to the Board of Commissioners, because it'll take roughly 25 to 30 days for them to get through the application process internally.
So we can't put that big red sign in front of their house like
Well, if we did that, then we would just, yeah, and that's what the ordinance, the way it's written right now, that's what we would be doing. We would be putting special use permits on all of these properties, so they would get a big sign from our lovely sign shop over at RDOT. They do all of our great work on our signage, and they would have to go post 200 signs for special use permits. So when we thought about the manpower it was going to take, and to issue special use permits for all of these short-term rentals, it was it was a little much. So that's why, like I said, we brought it back to a license instead of a permit. So, which, like I said, you'll still get a list. People will still know where the short-term rentals are going, and they can still come and make comment at Board of Commissioners meetings on those properties. So they'll still be heard.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, so for the purpose of, to to be clear, we were discussing probably moving it to 300 as opposed to 200, or was it 250?
I've heard 250 and 300.
You know, I kind of roll it back to 252 because considering that's a short term. I mean, instead of 300, I kind of think the 250.
So I'm gonna just, you know how you check the inventory at a store and they say we got 3 left, and then you go and they really have 0. So you know there's a margin of error. I think that's why I'm more in favor of 300 because that gives you that margin of error that 200 that you've seen might be a little low. Maybe that's
Correct.
lower,
And like I said, that was just from a demo of,
Right.
so it wasn't solid numbers. That's why I say about 200 is what they showed us on that demo that we were looking at with the, with
So
that
these are
scrub site.
townhome condominiums, any type of.
No, well, they could be. What is listed on the websites, that's our next piece too, is once we have this ordinance in place, now we can go through that software and find out what kind of short-term rentals, because short-term rentals are not allowed in accessory structures. If we allow in the future accessory dwelling units, short-term rentals will not be allowed in accessory dwelling units. They will not be allowed in multifamily. So none of your townhomes, none of your apartments can have short-term rentals. And that's the way we're writing the ordinance at this time. We may revisit that, especially with townhomes and condominiums. We understand that those are owned. So we may revise that at a later date, depending on how this goes. But this is our first time with these short-term rentals, so we're just allowing them in the AR properties and R1 at this time, so single-family residential.
Any more discussion? Okay, so to make it clear, what we're doing here is we're voting to amend the ordinance with the exception of the change in section 1 of the from 350. What's it said? We're making it to 300. Am I clear on that? Is that what we're doing?
There's other
because-
changes, but that's one of the 300 is going to be a recommendation.
Recommendation for.
Yeah.
The other things are the things that she presented before. We want to agree to those.
Right.
Okay.
So these are the amendments that we made to the ordinance. So you can recommend the number change for the 350, but with approval of the other amendments.
Okay.
And we do need to allow public comment as well,
Okay.
if there is any. No public comment? Okay, well, no public comment, so you can motion. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have public comment.
Oh, okay.
If you could, well, let's come up here. You please state your name for the record.
My name is Bridget Williams. So on the number of 200 to 300, what I'm hearing is you really don't know what you're having. So I wouldn't be opposed to making your number reasonable, and then those who do not have, if they do not come and register, then they don't participate, because you're going to have a lot of folks who are not going to register, and they're still going to operate in this county. So you don't know what you have, so to set a really high number, then you allow everyone who still don't want to participate and register to operate freely. So set the number, force everyone to come out and register properly. Then next year you may find out that you have more, like you have 200 or 100 more who want to register. Now when you set your 350, you're setting it based on demand. Right now you're just giving an opportunity for everybody to exist and to give cover. But set your 200, 250 and force everyone to come out and register properly.
My name is Rohandeep Sikhl from 2992 Highway 155 Southwest. I agree with Miss Lady over here that kind of mentioned about that it doesn't seem like you guys have a clear number in mind quite yet, or even if you do, there is going to be some gap of error. And so rather than doing a flat out number, I would suggest rather do a multiplier. You guys are kind of sitting at a 200 mark and thinking 1.5 times it and sitting at 300. And so when they come up with data and you come up with a 215 and instead you have a multiplier sitting there for that error. And then the other thing is, if how our notice is going to go out for the people to register, and if it's somebody who's not in your data existing that actually was a business owner prior to, they never get that notice, it's kind of not a fair game. And so I would also try to have some sort of leniency towards somebody who can prove that they were already existing in the business if they didn't get notice and could not, in a fair manner, get their application in as well after you guys meet the maximum. So that there is some form, as long as they provide through certain guidelines, certain proof process that they were in the business existing for, I don't know, X amount of time. That's just so that, you kind of don't.
So is it do more research before you come up with
Essentially,
a number?
that's
I mean,
part
that
of it
makes
too.
sense.
Right now it's just throwing numbers is what it
Right.
seems like. But beyond that, I mean, you're gonna miss somebody. It's natural.
Right.
These data points aren't the way they do it. It's not always accurate. So that just so that nobody gets missed out. Because at the end of the day, if I'm running the business and I don't find out about these things, and or in some cases if the core companies are working out of state. And if they're bigger corporations, if they can't get notice, rather than this becoming like a legal issue or that kind of thing, I think being a little proactive on that side helps all parties. That's my suggestion.
I just want to make one more comment. Okay, because the thing is, we have two different things. We have those that are existing now, short-term rentals, and we have those that desire to become.
Correct. So the ones
So-
existing prior to April 2025 are not permitted. So prior to April 2025, no short-term rentals were permitted in Rockdale County whatsoever. So when code enforcement did find them, they were shut down. We did not have it. If it was not in our permitted use table, it was not permitted. So we did not permit short-term rentals at that time. Of course, there were some operating anyway. But when code enforcement or sheriff's office got calls about them, that's when code enforcement would go out and tell them they could not operate because it was not permitted within the county. And then in April 2025, when we did approve the ordinance, we did not have folks come in to fill out applications, but also at that point, we were not ready to start enforcement of the ordinance, so we still needed to build out a few things with the program. Now we do have those things in place, and we will have a program in place by February 1st, as well as a website scrub agent that will assist in the letter campaign. So all of the Airbnb, Vrbo sites will be scrubbed to find all of the unincorporated Rockdale County short-term rental ordinances or rentals, and letters will go out. They'll get 3 letters that will go out to notify them that they need to come in and fill out an application and come into compliance. And at that time, once we have that, the software will be up and running to let us know where they're at. And then that's when, if they don't have an application in or a license, code enforcement will be dispatched out to shut them down.
Thank you for clarification. My concern is I like what we're doing now, and I think we should tell back the number, because one of the issues is people were doing it non-compliance, and we were becoming a short-term rental community, and nobody was investing in Rockdale County. So I just really think the number should be limited. I don't think it should be revisited every year. I think it's a number that we should stick with. Like I said before, every 5 years or every 2 years, but just to has it as a rolling number based on how the need. Why have that's why have an ordinance? I mean, if we trying to make everybody licensed, this man that wants a short term, that's not good.
Yeah.
We need home ownership. We don't need short term rental in Rockdale County. I mean, that's just my thought.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think we should, again, I don't think we should just randomly pick a number. I think it'd be great to have more research before a number's chosen. I also think it would be good to make sure, sort of on the same vein, you don't want to have the same entity owning all the short-term, and I'm sure that there is some way that can be limited. It doesn't necessarily have to be for corporations.
Yeah, we would just
but-
have to do a little more research on that
Right,
to
you
see
do more
what.
research. It just sounds more, there are attorneys that the county pays to play around with language. So I do think, seems like a little more research needs to be done on what we're,
So your program
Talking
starts on the
about.
1st, letters go out on the 1st. Yes?
February 1st is when the program starts, yes, when
Okay,
we will
so there
begin.
has to be a number by February 1st. Are
We
you-
would like there to be, if
Then-
not, it will
then
push
we-
the date.
It's a good idea. As a project manager,
Yes.
we don't push dates.
Right.
I
We do- we do not like to.
The meeting wasn't until
Understanding
January,
that you
so.
have, your plan right
Mm-hmm.
now is to start this program on the 1st. Letters go out, first letter goes out, then I don't know what your time frame is between the three, but your first one is hopefully that first week of February. your letters
Mm-hmm. It will be,
go out,
yes.
right?
Yeah, letters will go out the
And
first
all
week of
that is
February.
also based on the commissioners meeting on the 27th.
Correct, because this will still go through the Board of Commissioners zoning hearing, and then again to the Board of Commissioners for the second read and adoption. And at that time, they'll adopt the recommendations or deny. But either way, we do have the ordinance. We already have a short-term rental ordinance. The ordinance is already out there. So this is amending it, because the ordinance has already been approved last year. So
So
now
as
we're
a-
amending it. As it is right now, anyone could, I mean, there could be as many as
So
they want.
potentially as a compromise between the community that's speaking up and what we're saying between pick a number, not pick a number, high number, low number, is it possible to take it a year, the first year? This is the entry into this project. This is where we are. We're trying to find everyone who has these properties out there. So if it's 500 that's out there, then we found 500 people, giving them an opportunity. right?
Yeah, yeah,
And then
absolutely.
After the end of, I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot. Just bear with me. Bear with me.
Yeah,
I
that
know
is.
my
But I mean, there
project
are a lot.
I
I'll
know
tell you
there's
right now, there's a lot out
But
there.
This gentleman here said they may not have reached the information, or could be an out-of-town
Right.
person. And you mailed me something from Atlanta, it takes 2 weeks for me to get.
Mm-hmm.
So it could take a while for mail to get there, right? So let's just say there is a higher threshold to figure out everything for year one, right? Because I'm sure you haven't figured out how the wait list is going to work yet. That's still kind of vacant in my mind. And then after going into that second year, here is a revision to the process. And then you have able to scale back on that number. that you
Yeah,
have.
well, every 90 days, we'll be going through the data that we have, that we've collected for this first year, to see what the increase is, how many are on our wait list, how this is working, because this is the first time Rockdale County's doing the short-term rental ordinance. So, I mean, we need to see how it works for our
I
county.
see we have a target, but it looks like we need to figure out what glide path we're going to use to get to the target. I mean,
Absolutely.
because right now, it's,
Yeah.
you don't know what's out there. And you're hoping for the use of software to help pinpoint. But what if I have mine listed on another type of website that's not, you know what I mean? What
Yeah,
if-
it scrubs, from my understanding, I believe it was 8 to 12, she said, different
Right, but
sites
if it's
out
on
there.
My personal website for my personal
It can't
business,
be.
You can't find me.
It has
So-
to be, so this is part of the ordinance too. This is part of the current ordinance. It has to be listed on a
Right.
major website because it has to collect hotel lodging taxes. You have to prove that you're advertising there. You have to post your license number on there, because we do not collect, planning and development does not collect your hotel motel lodging taxes. That's collected through the website that you advertise your short-term rental on. And so that's a requirement that you have to show us your advertisements on all of your different websites. Whoever you're advertising, we need to know where you're advertising. So, and then like I said, there's several websites out there that operate short-term rental registry. So we're working, like I said, we have a few, I think it's 2 or 3 that we're looking at, different companies to assist us in this process and scrub those sites so that we can find the short-term rentals. We won't find them all, but we'll find a good chunk.
Okay.
All right, we're back here again.
Okay, so to be clear, we're going to, for this item, text 2025-14, we want to vote on the amendment of it with the recommended change of 300. That's what we're doing. Okay. All right. So, we need a motion for item R-3, text 2025-14, ordinance, an ordinance to amend the text of section 218-1, permitted use table, and section 218-13, sections of the use and development subsection MM2 of the Unified Development Ordinance, of Rockdale County, Georgia, with the recommendation of 300, with amendment of the recommendation of 300. Are we clear? Okay. All right. So we need a motion for the amendment.
I move.
Okay, there has been a move for, for the amendment of it.
Ms. Yancey, if you could just speak into the mic and make your motion again, please.
Yes, I move to approve the amendment, text 2025-14 with the conditional of recommendation for 300 total.
Okay, that's been a motion. It's second.
I second.
Okay, Ms. Ernestine Stovall Goolsby has second for that motion. We'll bring that motion up for a vote at this time. All in favor of text 2025-14 amendment with the recommendation of 300 on the amendment. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose, nay.
Nay.
Any abstain? The motion for item R3, text 2025-14, to amend this item has been, with the recommendation of a 300 amendment, has been approved. The motion is carried.
Thank you.
All right. If all hearts are clear and we've completed our agenda, and we need a motion for adjournment of this planning commission meeting.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
Hey,
the
just a
motion-
discussion. Who's our new leadership? We lost Ms.
What-
Ms.
we have the motion has been, okay.
Oh, before we adjourn, I'll
Okay, we haven't adjourned yet.
yeah, so we do have a new director for planning and development, and I guess we should have started with that, huh? So, Director Brandon White.
How you
Okay.
doing?
Hello.
How you doing? Welcome aboard.
Inquiring minds wanted to know.
Very much so. Welcome aboard. Okay.
All right, again, all hearts clear. Okay, let's.
Clear now.
Okay, let's try it again. We need a motion for adjournment, planning meeting, commission meeting.
Motion, I motion we adjourn.
Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, we've been seconded. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.